It's one of the great stories, isn't it? Sanois should not be underestimated.
Oh, definitely not. But he was underestimated, Jerry, after his Prix de Jockey Club win, given how messy that whole race was. But he came out in the trial and showed a devastating turn of foot.
Yeah, there was a lot of queries about the French Derby form. It was a very stop-start, choppy race, horses checked everywhere across the board. What you liked about him, though, as well, that he was probably about 3 lengths off them at the furlong pole as well, and really dug in and sort of eye of a needle sort of passage he took through to win the race. That was over 2,100 metres of Chanty. He'd be much, much better, I think, over the 2,400 here, as well, as we saw in his trial in the Prix Niel, which is a very, very strong trial for this, the Arc. The race, they didn't go any pace, but he had some turn of foot at the end as well, and he was winning going away. Really, really liked the style of which he did that. Has upheld the form since in the French Derby. The runner-up in that race has come out and turned in to be okay. So plenty to like, I would think. You wouldn't be getting the 25, 30 to 1 he was in the Derby, but if you got 8, 9 to 1, you'd be pretty happy with that. I think he's a chance, and he's a horse I want to win as well, given his connections and the sort of the lower ranks. Considering earlier this year he was running in Claimers and Deauville, so long way to come.
A bit like the Dunedin story, isn't it? And he's not a dissimilar type of horse to Dunedin either. He's quite small and slightly built, but much to his benefit, I think. He's a real bulldog when he gets in amongst runners in a field.
Yeah, it's served him very well so far, particularly in the French Derby as well. This race could have a fair amount of runners in this as well. I think we can anticipate probably 14, 15 or so runners. Probably will be plonked somewhere in the middle of the field, and he's looking for the gaps close on, but really has a good turn of foot. Could do it. And
interestingly, his trainer suggests that he really likes the rough and tumble and the tight quarter racing that we've seen, particularly in his last 2 starts that we've been privy to watching. Connections also paid the €100,000 supplementary fee to get into the race, and
lots of dough for a baker.
That's very good. That's very good, Jerry.
And
also looking, sort of following what goes on the Twitter world. There was an interesting post that had a photo of the owner's bakery, and on it was a big sign that effectively said that on the 7th of October we will be closed. We have racing business to attend to. So it's going to be quite some story if he can peel off the Arc.
Good for the jockey as well, a jockey called Antoine Hamelin as well, who was only lost his claim as an apprentice back earlier this year as well, and when he won the French Derby it was the first time he rode in a Group 1, so things gone pretty well for him too.
Got a lovely rapport with the horse, hasn't he?
Yeah, it just seemed to have that case, yeah.
What price would he be if he was trained by an Andre Fabre? Or...
Well, quite right, Jason, quite right. He'd be probably 3, 4 to 1 as well. And actually Andre Fabre was very complimentary of the horse after saying, well, I'm not going to take that on the Arc. But he had the second horse home on the race. He said, no, I'm not going to take that on. We'll try and find something else. Incidentally, Andre Fabre, who's won the race 7 times, is represented most likely by Masterstroke in the race. Probably going to be double-figure odds, probably slightly bigger. He's got Group 2 form. Not sure if he's quite up to it, though, on the big occasion.
Obviously, you consider an each-way chance?
Yeah, I would think so. Along with a horse we haven't touched on yet, the St Nicholas Abbey from the Aidan O'Brien team, will be ridden by his son, Joseph. Decent horse over 1.5 miles for Group 1 wins. Tends to get back in the run a little bit. There should be pace here to suit. I just can't see him winning. I can see a minor role possibly at best, but he's had chances before in these races and he just comes up a little bit short.
One of his lead-up runs was in the Irish Champion Stakes, and the 2 horses that beat him, unfortunately, we won't see in the Arc this year, speaking of Snow Fairy and Nathaniel. And when we have a look at that run, you can see him sort of battling on and behind, but the 2,400 metres is probably 1+ for him, Jerry, as opposed to a 2,000-metre journey.
Oh, definitely, yeah, that's his best trip as well. But I think it's instructive also that if O'Brien could be riding Camelot, Joseph O'Brien could be riding Camelot, he would. So I think it just shows that it is, the stable second string.
Well, let's now analyse the chances of Camelot. Joseph O'Brien's loss is certainly Frankie Dettori's gain. In the past, to ride for Ballydoyle was to fiercely switch allegiances. This weekend, Frankie is clear of commitments for the Royal Blue, and he's free to win his 4th Arc with another world racing force. You've already suggested earlier on the show, Jeremy, that there's a question mark hanging over the horse's head, and rightly so. What's he beaten in the great races leading up to the Arc, and he tasted defeat in St Leger, I think, fair and square, although Barcelona may have outridden young Joseph on the day. But Camelot in an Arc, will he get his chance, do you think, to prove himself as the best 3-year-old in Europe?
I'll go against him. Just have a set. I just think it's very difficult to come back in distance. It's not an ideal prep either, the Leger into this as well. I don't think it was their plan all along. I think they've been forced into it with all these late defections. I'm not bagging the horse totally. I think he's very good and his record proves it, but I just think against the older horses just might find this a bit too tough.
There's no doubt about it. It is a race for the 3-year-olds. They've won it an extraordinary 46 times. So the last horse to do it, of course, was Workforce in 2010. Is Camelot a Workforce?
Probably around the same level. Workforce won the Derby in record time. I think they're around the same level. Was that a strong year? This probably isn't a strong year either. So yeah, I suppose you could make a case for him. I just couldn't take him at the price he's likely to be in Hong Kong. And actually, you mentioned Workforce. The one horse we haven't touched on that's from the same stable as Workforce is Sea Moon, who's likely to run in the race. He was a favourite for the King George. That was won by Dane Dream with Nathaniel second. Just got a bit too far back in that race. He's yet to win a Group 1. Ryan Moore returns to riding this week. He's likely to take the ride on Sea Moon for his governor, Sir Michael Stout. Hasn't been out since the King George, but he's always struck me as a horse that can win a Group 1. Whether it's going to be this, really couldn't tell you, but he's an interesting candidate also.
Is it a target for Sea Moon, I wonder? I know that sounds ridiculous because it's the Ark, but I know that they had one eye on the United States and the Breeders' Cup turf. Him and St Nicholas Abbey race that they quinelled last year.
You'd wonder if this was the plan all along. I really can't tell you that one. And does he have the form to win it as well? Because St Nicholas Abbey beat him in America that time as well. And I'm not exactly tipping St Nicholas Abbey to win this too, but I wouldn't be shocked if you're on 3rd or 4th.
Boys, your thoughts on the Ark?
I'm going to go, I think Orfèvre will win it, but I don't like him at the price he's likely to be. So therefore I'll go with Saunois, and I think he'll be reasonable odds. I think he might just cause a little bit of a surprise from Orfèvre, and after that, Charetta.
Oh.
Jason?
Same numbers, but slightly different order. I'm going to go with Orfèvre to provide Japan with their first win in the Ark. Saunois, love the story, also like the horse. I think it's probably still a little bit underrated by the market, given what he has done in the lead up to the Ark, and put in Charetta to finish in 3rd position, but Orfèvre on top.
I know he's got his many doubters, including you both, but I'm going to tip Camelot to win the Ark. He's the best 3-year-old in Europe, and I hope he proves his knockers wrong. It's time for a break now on Racing 360. We'll be back shortly to have a look at the undercard of Ark Day.